Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I have not done a pen haul or a pen review in a really long time. Part of the reason is just because I honestly just do not need any more brush pens. I have a lot, I've tried a lot, and I think I have all that I need. But on top of that, there really hasn't been anything new. I feel like I've tried most of the ones that I've heard of, and I didn't want to shop just to shop, so it's been a while. But when I tell you that I put these pens in my cart so fast after seeing an ad for them, I am not exaggerating. I saw this ad on social media for these new Sharpie pens, and I thought they looked so similar to one of my favorite brush pens, which is this Sharpie stained brush pen. And I was really hoping that they've just recreated the Sharpie stained in new colors, because one of the reasons it's not my #1 brush pen is because it comes in colors that I really don't use very often. So I have to buy like a whole pack just to get a black brush pen. But these, you can see there's a little bit more of a color variety here. So I was really hoping that this was just a repackaged Sharpie stained brush pen. Now, after I looked at them a little bit more, I was pretty sure that the tip for this brush pen is a little bit bigger than the Sharpie stain, but I still wanted to try them. They actually, just by look, reminded me more of the Caran Brush Marker Pro, which is another great one. So I thought I should try them anyway, and I ordered them. I have opened them up just to test out one, but I haven't really gotten too far into using these, and so I thought that I would do that with you here today. I also will show you a comparison with the Sharpie stained and with the Caran Brush Marker Pro, just in case you're wanting to see how they compare. So let's jump right in. The first thing I will point out is they're not actually calling it a brush pen. They're calling it Sharpie Creative Markers, and it says that you can use them on light and dark surfaces. I will grab some black paper so that I can test it out on that as well. And there's another set that's the same type of marker, but that does not have a brush tip. So just look for the brush tip if you're looking for this one. But when we look at this brush pen right here, even though they don't call it a brush pen, if you are a hand letterer, you know that this is going to be a wonderful hand lettering brush pen. Just by looking at it, I can tell. Maybe I shouldn't say that I can tell 100% that I'll love it, but let's just say that I will be really surprised if I do not love this brush pen. So let me go ahead and do some swatches for you so that you can see all the colors here. So one interesting thing about the ad that I saw is I feel like these were not really marketed for hand lettering. The other thing is, one of the things that they pointed out in the ad was that you can use these on like glass, or, you know, like to decorate a tumbler or something. I can't remember exactly what they were using. Maybe it was on acrylic, which I could see how you could maybe write with these on acrylic. But if you're decorating something like a tumbler, they say that these are water-based acrylic markers. So of course I haven't tested this out, but I do not see how these would stay permanent if you were like decorating a coffee cup. I would imagine they would just wash off. So to me, it's not really a bonus if I can letter on ceramic, if it's just gonna wash off. So again, I haven't tested it, but being that they're water-based, I would be really surprised if they were permanent through like the dishwasher. But if you have tried that, let me know, because maybe I'm wrong. I do love that you can draw on white and black paper. I don't really do a lot of lettering on black paper, but it is really fun to have a marker that pops like that. And I really like this color selection. I thought it was so pretty. Again, if I could just have the Sharpie stained brush pens in this color palette, I would be so happy. I was right. I think that the brush tip is a little bit larger, so I'm gonna go ahead and compare for you, but I still really like them. I will be really curious to see how they compare to the Caran Brush Marker Pro. So let's go ahead and do some lettering with these. I think I am going to use the black, because one reason why I love the Sharpie stained is the black is just so bold and it just looks so crisp. So I'm gonna compare both of these so we can see what they look like side by side. All right, so I'm gonna do the Sharpie stained on the left and the creative markers on the right. So before I start lettering, I wanna show you each of these markers. So on the left, we have the Caran Brush Marker Pro. In the middle, I have the Sharpie Creative, and then on the right, I have the Sharpie Stained. I was correct, the Sharpie Stained is a little bit smaller, and I'm having a hard time telling, but I think the Brush Marker Pro is like ever so slightly larger. Let me set this one down so I can hold them evenly. It's a little bit hard to tell on camera, but I think that the main difference is that maybe the width at the base here is like a little bit wider on the Caran Brush Marker. And it also could be that maybe the ink is just making it swell more. I don't know. They're very close though, so I'll be curious to see what these look like when I do a side by side on the paper. So as you can see, I'm getting a thicker downstroke with the creative markers, which is totally expected since this one did have a larger tip than the Sharpie stained. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the Brush Marker Pro. I'm not sure if you can tell, but the Sharpie stained is still drying. There's a little bit of a glossiness to the thicker parts of my strokes, and the creative markers are doing the same as well. So I will just point that out because as much as I love the boldness of this, if you are left-handed, this could be a pretty frustrating marker because it is still drying. I'm not sure how long it's been, but I think this is going to take a little bit of time before it will not streak on your page. I'm going to do this one below here since I think these are similar in width. So interestingly enough, I'm getting a thicker stroke up here than I am down here, and I was pushing pretty hard, but the thinner strokes seem to be pretty much the same. This one's maybe even a little bit thicker than this one, and so you can kind of tell down here as well, it's just not quite as crisp. I've probably used this one a little bit more since I obviously just got these. So I will go ahead and take one of these and I will letter several words so we can see if it softens up a little bit. But overall, very subtle differences. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some lettering with this red color because this is the one that I had tested out originally, just a very little bit, but if anything, this is the one that I have used more than these other colors. And so let me go ahead and just do some lettering across the page and we'll see if it softens up. One thing I love about the Sharpie stained is that I can use this whole marker until it runs dry and the tip is still very crisp. And so if they have done the same thing with this marker, that is such a win because one of the frustrating things about a lot of brush pens is that they start out so beautiful, so crisp, but a few words in and that tip starts to get dull or it starts to fray where you're seeing little splatters on the edges of your words. And so if they have done with this marker what they've done with the Sharpie stained, then I will be very, very happy. All right, so I have done a decent bit of lettering with this one, and here are my honest thoughts. I would not say that they feel as crisp as the Sharpie stained. They do remind me a lot more of the Caron Brush Marker Pro. I do think the ink is a little different. Like if you'll look at the Caron Brush Marker Pro, you can kind of see the lightness in my upstrokes, whereas this is like very opaque. So it feels and looks a lot like paint. Like acrylic paint almost. And they do say they're water-based acrylic markers, so that completely makes sense. I could also see how this would be really good for illustration as well because it does have almost that like painted like gouache or acrylic look when I am doing my lettering. And so I think I'm going to try drawing with these as well, just so that you can see that too. I will point out that there are a few spots where I can see some fray marks, my lowercase c, my lowercase e at the top, and my lowercase d where I am doing it with my print. I see a little bit of a streak there. And so just keep that in mind. And I will say one of the things that I know is a struggle for people with the Caron Brush Marker Pro is the cost. And so this, I cannot remember what I paid, but I think they were pretty affordable. I got a 12 pack. I really like all of the colors. I don't hand letter with yellow very often, but I have to say the colors are very pretty. So I haven't done a price comparison, but I would not be surprised if this is a more affordable option. And again, if you like that more opaque look, it is definitely unique, especially for a brush pen. So I do still wish that they made Sharpie stained in these colors because that would just be so wonderful. But these are a really fun one if you are looking for a new pen to try, or if you are looking for a medium to large size brush pen. I would actually probably call this one a large brush pen. I know a lot of times I put medium to large brush pens in the same category because they can look large if you have a very heavy hand and they can look more medium if you don't. But this one feels pretty large to me. My strokes are pretty large. So again, I would say that if you're looking for a large brush pen, this would be a really fun option to try. I did just purchase these on Amazon, and if you have watched this video all the way through, you're probably gonna get ads like I did. Let me know if you see ads for this because that is where I first discovered these on social media. And isn't that how social media works? Once you watch a video, then you start getting ads for it, and they won't let you forget about it. So in this, you can see how the top, the Sharpie creative marker, is very opaque. So like I mentioned, it looks a little bit like acrylic, but you can also see, I think, a little bit more of that fraying. You can see it on my upstroke with the R, you can see it on my downstroke with the lowercase e. I think that's just going to be characteristic of these markers. But another thing that I noticed is that they did feel a little bit dry when I was lettering with them. And I did a little bit before this clip and I paused and I shook it, and I think that helped a little bit, but not for a super long time. And I guess when I say opaque, I should say that they're more opaque than like what I'm seeing with the Caron Brush Marker Pro. You can see how the upstrokes get a lot lighter. However, I do see a little bit of overlap where like my R connects to my P and the I connects to the E. So I guess that there is some fading there, but I do still think it's just a very different look than the Caron Brush Marker Pro. So because of this and the fact that it feels a little bit more dry, this probably wouldn't be my choice for longer lettering projects. I know I keep going back to the Sharpie stained, but I have ran Sharpie stained brush pens dry. I have used them in a course where I was like lettering a ton for hours, and they just really hold up. And so I had high hopes that this would do the same. And as much as I'm having fun with this marker, I do not think, in my opinion, that it holds up to the reputation of the Sharpie stained in that way. So I will just be sitting here waiting for them to come out with Sharpie stained brush pens in this beautiful color palette. I'll just keep waiting. So let me know what you think about these. Let me know if you have any other questions, and let me know if there are any other products that you'd like to see tested out. I am happy to share. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.